If you see these 5 demonic signs, you're a very rare dark chosen one. There is a secret that very few dare to speak, and even fewer are willing to live. A truth so raw, so intense, that it defies conventional spirituality and shatters every myth of what it means to be awakened. It's the path of dark chosen one. And no, this isn't about being evil or wicked. It's not about black magic or selling your soul. It's about something far more ancient, far more primal, a spiritual inheritance that only reveals itself through pain, through isolation, through the signs that most people run from. If you're seeing these 5 demonic signs, it's not a coincidence. It means you are marked, not in the way religion warns you about, but in the way the universe selects those who can walk through fire without being consumed. You are not just sensitive to energy, you are forged by it. And not everyone can handle that. Most people are too fragile, too conditioned, too afraid. But you've always known there was something different about you, haven't you? Let's start with the first sign. You attract chaos relentlessly. It's like peace doesn't stay around you for long. Relationships fall apart without warning. Friends betray you. Jobs collapse. People misunderstand you. It's not because you're cursed. It's because your energy disrupts anything and anyone that is false. You are a living mirror, and when people look at you, they see themselves stripped bare. That kind of reflection is uncomfortable. It triggers them, and so life keeps shaking around you. But here's the deeper truth. Chaos is not your punishment, it's your initiation. The universe is not trying to destroy you, it's trying to awaken you. The second sign. You've battled with darkness inside yourself that most people couldn't survive. Depression, intrusive thoughts, addictions, rage, loneliness so deep it feels like drowning in an ocean of silence. You've looked into the abyss and didn't turn away. That's not weakness. That's power. That's spiritual muscle forged in places most never go. And here's something most will never understand. The dark chosen ones are not those who avoid their demons, but those who've learned to sit with them, talk to them, understand them, and then rise above them. You've been through emotional territories that felt like death, but you didn't die. You transformed.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
The third sign is something you've likely carried since childhood, a sense that you don't belong. Not just in society, but in the world itself. You've always felt like an outsider, even among people who love you. Like your soul was dropped here from somewhere else. That's not delusion. That's memory. Your soul remembers its mission. And that mission is not ordinary. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to dismantle illusions, to destroy the false so the real can emerge. That's why you can't stand fake people, surface-level conversations, or anything that lacks depth. You crave truth even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. The fourth sign is your connection to the supernatural. You've experienced things most people would call insane. Shadow figures in your room at night. Sleep paralysis that felt like something was watching you. Dreams that predicted events. Hearing your name called when no one was there. Feeling presences in empty rooms. This isn't fantasy. This is sensitivity. You're tuned into frequencies others can't perceive. And yes, some of those frequencies are dark, but not all darkness is evil. Some of it is ancient. Some of it is wise. Some of it is part of your bloodline, your lineage, your spiritual assignment. You were never meant to just play with light. You were meant to master shadow. And the fifth sign, you keep being pulled back to your power. You've tried to live a normal life. You've tried to numb it, run from it, deny it, but it doesn't let you go. Every time you try to settle, life erupts. Every time you try to forget your calling, something reminds you. It could be a sudden loss, a breakdown, a spiritual encounter, but it always brings you back to yourself. That's not an accident. That's the mark of the dark chosen one. You don't get to sleep through this life. Your soul signed a contract before you came here, and that contract says, I will remember who I am, even if it breaks me. Let me ask you something soul deep. What if the reason you've suffered so much is because the universe is preparing you to carry a power that most people would collapse under? What if the darkness you faced wasn't a detour, but the exact path you needed to walk to become who you were meant to be? You see, we live in a world that worships comfort and punishes the deep, a world that rewards masks and fears authenticity. But chosen ones, especially the dark ones, don't come here to fit in. We come here to break systems, to dismantle illusions, to wake people up. And that mission is not glamorous. It's lonely. It's painful. It's full of nights where you question everything. But in those nights, something else happens too. You begin to hear the voice of your true self, the one that was buried beneath years of programming. You start realizing you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're becoming. And the signs, they're not warnings. They're confirmations. You were selected for this path because you can handle what most cannot. While others are trying to escape the dark, you are here to understand it. While others are trying to destroy their demons, you are here to transform them. That is a rare gift. That is a sacred responsibility. And now you're awakening to it. The curse that becomes your crown. There's a sacred moment in every dark chosen one's journey where the very thing that once felt like a curse begins to reveal itself as a crown. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in fragments, in the quiet moments between pain and realization. At first, you curse your sensitivity. You resent how deeply you feel, how easily you're affected by lies, cruelty, or the suffering of others. You hate that you can't just go with the flow like everyone else. You try to numb it, suppress it, hide it behind a mask. But no matter how hard you try, it doesn't go away. That deep, burning awareness stays. It haunts you. Until one day you stop fighting it. You stop treating your depth as a flaw. And that's the day everything changes. You see, the darkness in you was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to refine you. Like coal under pressure, your pain was designed to shape you into something rare, something unshakable. But before you could wear the crown, you had to carry the weight. You had to walk through fire. You had to be stripped of everything false so that only the essential remained. And what remained was this, a soul that cannot be broken. A being who has faced the storm and walked out with lightning in their eyes. But let's be real, before that transformation, it feels like madness. You question your worth, your sanity, your purpose. You feel abandoned by the world, sometimes even by the divine. You look around and wonder why your life has been nothing but cycles of intensity, loss, awakening, and collapse. But that's because you're in training. The kind of power you carry can't be built in comfort. It must be earned in the realm of shadows. There are no shortcuts on this path, and that's why so few walk it. But you were born for it. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to you without knowing why? How strangers open up to you, confess things they haven't told anyone else? Or how people either love you deeply or can't stand to be near you? That's not random. That's energy. You radiate truth, and truth is polarizing. Most people aren't ready to face their shadows, but when they're around you, they're forced to. You don't even have to say a word, your presence does the work. That's why your life has never been quiet. That's why your relationships are intense. That's why you can't stand fake environments or surface-level conversations. You're built for depth, for truth, for transformation, and that makes you rare. But with that rarity comes responsibility. And the biggest responsibility of all is learning to transmute your pain into power, not by pretending it didn't happen, not by letting it go in the toxic positivity sense, but by owning it, by standing in it, by saying, yes, I was broken, but I rebuilt myself. Yes, I was lost, but I found my own way back. Yes, I walked through hell, but I came back with the map. That's the crown. That's the royalty of the dark chosen one. Not the avoidance of the underworld, but the mastery of it. Let me ask you something deeper than words. What if your suffering was sacred? What if the very things you thought disqualified you were actually the markings of your spiritual authority? Because here's the secret. The world doesn't need more light workers who bypass their pain. It needs more shadow walkers who've made peace with theirs. It needs people who can hold space for the darkness without being consumed by it. And that's who you are becoming. Not someone who denies the dark, but someone who integrates it. Who understands that the crown doesn't come from purity, it comes from wholeness. You are not here to be good. You are here to be real, to embody the full spectrum of truth. And that includes rage, grief, lust, fear, and fire. The difference is, you don't let those energies control you. You learn to channel them, to alchemize them, to transform them into wisdom, into strength, into creative force. That's the gift of the dark chosen ones. We don't run from the storm, we become it. Walking between worlds with fire in your veins. There comes a point on this path where the world you once knew no longer fits, but the world you're meant to build hasn't fully appeared yet. You're suspended between dimensions, no longer blind, but not yet fully seen. This is the realm of the in-between, and it's where the dark chosen ons thrive. Because we don't need clarity to move. We don't need approval to act. We walk forward even when the ground beneath us hasn't formed yet. Why? Because we were born with fire in our veins, not the kind that destroys out of control, but the kind that burns through illusion, the kind that lights a path through the fog. When you begin to walk between worlds, you notice how different your perception becomes. You feel energies before words are spoken. You know someone's intentions before they act. You sense when a room is heavy, when a place is haunted, when a decision will shift reality. Others call it intuition, sensitivity, or even paranoia. But you know better. You're not just sensing things, you're reading frequencies. You're tracking the invisible. And that's not a weakness. That's a spiritual technology most haven't activated yet. But this ability comes with a price. You can't lie to yourself anymore. You can't stay in dead relationships, fake jobs, or meaningless routines. The veil has lifted, and with that, everything becomes louder energies, emotions, consequences. You begin to see how most of the world is still asleep, still hypnotized by distraction and fear. And it hurts. It hurts to watch people you love stay in cycles that are killing their souls. It hurts to be the one who sees, while everyone else mocks the vision. But still, you stay awake. Because you know that your sight is not a burden, it's a blessing. A rare, sacred kind of clarity that was given to you not to escape the world, but to help transform it. This is where the demonic signs become misunderstood. People think demons only appear as terrifying entities in the night, but the real demons, the ones that seek out chosen uns, are much more subtle. They come as self-doubt, as imposter syndrome, as inner critics that whisper, "Who do you think you are to carry this power?" They come as people who trigger your deepest wounds, not to ruin you, but to mirror what you haven't healed. They come as patterns repeated over and over until you finally break the cycle and reclaim your soul. But here's the paradox: those very demons are also your teachers, because without them, you wouldn't sharpen your discernment. Without them, you wouldn't develop spiritual armor. Without them, you wouldn't realize how powerful your light really is. You only know how bright your fire is when it's surrounded by darkness. And you've been surrounded for a long time. Not because you're cursed, but because you're capable. The universe doesn't send small battles to giant souls. Now, some people ask, if I'm chosen, why does it feel like I'm being punished? And the answer is simple, because you're being prepared. The sword must be placed in the fire before it becomes unbreakable. The vessel must be emptied before it can hold divine power. You are not being broken down, you are being restructured. You are not losing yourself, you are shedding what was never truly you. And yes, it's painful. Transformation always is. But it's also holy. It's also beautiful. It's also the reason you came here. Let me ask you something that might change how you see everything. What if your darkness was never meant to be feared, but mastered? What if it wasn't the enemy, but the key? Because walking between worlds means you're no longer choosing sides between good and evil, you're seeing beyond duality. You're realizing that every shadow holds a message and every light casts one. You're learning to hold both at once. That's what makes you rare. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you dangerous to systems built on lies, to energies that feed on fear, to illusions that fall apart in your presence. You don't need to be saved. You need to be remembered. And when you remember who you are, when you walk between worlds with your fire, intact, nothing can touch you. Because you're not just surviving anymore. You're creating. You're commanding. You're alchemizing everything that was meant to destroy you into something sacred. You were never meant to bow, you were meant to rise. By now, something inside you has already begun to shift. Maybe it's subtle, like a quiet voice within that no longer tolerates the lies you used to live under. Or maybe it's loud, a roaring fire in your chest that refuses to dim, no matter how much the world tries to silence it. Either way, let's be clear, this was never about fear. This was never about demons chasing you or angels saving you. This has always been about remembering. Not learning something new, but remembering who you truly are beneath the noise. The 5 signs were never warnings. They were confirmations. Every chaotic cycle, every encounter with darkness, every supernatural experience, every deep loneliness, every time you were pulled back into your own power, it was all part of your spiritual DNA activating. You are not here to be normal. You are not here to be liked. You are here to awaken, to disrupt, to carry a frequency that cuts through illusion like a blade of truth. And yes, that comes with a cost. But it also comes with a crown. You were never meant to bow. You were never meant to shrink yourself to fit the mold of society's shallow expectations. You were never meant to numb yourself just to be accepted. You were meant to rise, to take up space, to speak the truth even when your voice trembles, to walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without saying a word. Because your energy speaks louder than your voice ever could. That's what it means to be a dark chosen one. You don't just carry power, you are power. You don't just fight demons, you've learned to sit with them, learn from them, and then rise above them. But don't misunderstand this message. Rising doesn't mean becoming untouchable or emotionless. It doesn't mean pretending you're healed when you're still bleeding. It means standing in the mess and saying, even this is sacred. It means holding your wounds with reverence and knowing that your scars are proof that you were chosen to endure what others couldn't. It means choosing to rise again and again, even when it would be easier to fall. Let me ask you something honest. What would your life look like if you stopped hiding your power? What would happen if you owned your darkness the same way you celebrate your light? Because the world doesn't need more perfection. It needs more realness. More people who've walked through fire and came back with wisdom. More souls like you who've been marked by pain but still choose love. Who've seen the underworld and didn't lose their compassion, who've battled their demons and came back with divine authority. That's what being chosen really means. Not that you are better than others, but that you've been given more to carry. And with that weight comes the responsibility to transmute it. You see, this path was never about escaping darkness. It was about using it, learning from it, alchemizing it. Every demon you faced was a teacher in disguise. Every loss was a sacred initiation. Every breakdown was a portal into your next level of evolution. And now you stand at the threshold of that evolution. No longer running, no longer doubting, no longer asking for permission to be what you already are. You don't need validation. You need remembrance. You need to awaken fully, not just to your light, but to the divine chaos that shaped you. And once you do, you will no longer see yourself as cursed. You will see yourself as crowned. So here's the final truth. If you see these 5 demonic signs, it's because you were never meant to be ordinary. You were meant to carry both heaven and hell inside you and still choose to love. You were meant to walk through shadows with your head high. You were meant to shake systems, break chains, and awaken others just by being fully, unapologetically you. This isn't the end of your journey, it's the beginning. Welcome to your awakening. Now rise.